It's a beautiful book by Saint Theophan the Recluse. He's going to talk about the podvig, the struggle, the spiritual struggle between the body and the soul. As humans, we grapple with the tension between body and soul. Our bodies bear the scars of sin, anchoring us to earthly concerns, while our souls yearn for spiritual ascent. And St. Paul expressed this inner conflict. I cannot understand my own behavior, he says in Romans 7. I fail to carry out the things I want to do, and I find myself doing the very things I hate. Who will free me from this body of sin? The body of sin, not the body itself. Podvig serves as a means to overcome this struggle, allowing the soul to master the body and not the other way around. Practices of podvig within the church are include fasting, prostrations, obediences, spiritual reading, etc., etc. Ascetic struggle, essentially. Ascetic practices. Saint Theophan the Recluse defines the whole Christian life as a podvig. And while the Church outlines necessary steps, podvig involves doing more. It has a heroic aspect to it, and in it reflecting an inner desire to deepen one's soul in Christ. Podvig is not undertaken for personal gain, but for a higher purpose, union with God, theosis. But no specific podvig should be attempted without the approval, the blessing of a spiritual father or mother. To give a flavour of this podvig, we have here following rules for persecuting the flesh, for submitting the flesh, we should say. 1. Govern your senses, especially sight and hearing. Bind your movements and hold your tongue. Whoever does not reign in these three things is inwardly plundered, weakened, and captive. He is not even within, for the senses are essentially doors of the soul opening from the inside out, or windows through which inner warmth escapes. How often do we know it? This is dissipation. We used to say in seminary, if you keep the oven doors open, that's the senses, then all the warmth pours out and doesn't cook the bread. Number 2, show your authority over the senses by forcing them to be attracted to beneficial subjects. Reading the saints, spiritual reading, prayer, prostrations, etc. They must be directed not towards which engenders selfishness and domination by the passions, but what is directed towards engendering the spirit. Measure the amount of food we need. Number 3. It should be healthy food and simple. This is vital in the modern world where so much of our food is naff, is garbage, poison even. And so to get that wholesome nutrition is vital. We're only really able to fast when our body is properly nourished, and getting that proper nourishment, for me, that's organic, simple, or farm shop kind of related products, and staying away from the supermarket as much as I possibly can. That's my own conclusion anyway. Number 4, having established all this, struggle with your flesh until it is humbled. Once it is used to this modest and rough environment, it will become your mute slave. Humility of the flesh will be granted at last, submitting the flesh, bringing it on the journey, as we've said before. You should always keep this in sight. It says here clearly, physical podvigs foster physical virtues: solitude, silence, endurance, vigilance, labor, patience, in deprivations, purity, and virginity. You should remember that this friend of yours, namely the body, will end up in the grave. They say, do not trust the flesh, it is deceitful. When you come to believe it is humbled, you relax a little, and it immediately grabs you and conquers you. This is to be experienced, isn't it? You know, we do some fasting and we think, yeah, turned a corner, and before you know it, complacency lets in a storm. Number 6, for the most enduring success, the law of constancy must be observed in the realm of physical podvigs struggles, if anywhere. Here is some general advice. At first, hold all parts of the flesh to the law of restraint, turning all the attention to inner work. When the passions begin to settle down, warmth springs up in the heart. Then, according to the measure of the inner heat, the bodily needs weaken. Lastly, he's going to talk about the ascetical labours that persecute the flesh: fasting, vigils, labour, purity. And he's going to talk here about how married couples, married people can also attain this purity and virginity, because it's a virginity of the heart, purity of soul. A labourer who is devoted to God is aided by grace. Therefore, we see married people who also possess spiritual perfections. There we go, a little bit of a right note to finish on. Truly is an awesome book. An awesome guy as well. We don't know about Theophan the Recluse. You're in for a treat. Go and research his life. He went from school teacher to priest to bishop to hermit, recluse, and was a great spiritual father. And this is like a spiritual manual from baptism to heaven. Great book.